everybody, Backyard Bullion here. Welcome to my channel if you are new, and welcome back if you're a long-term viewer. Today we have a juicy, interesting topic to get our teeth stuck into, and that is all about marketing, data protection, and protecting yourself as a buyer and consumer when purchasing bullion coins. And I think it's really important as well, even more so than perhaps when you're buying just any old thing from a retailer online. If you're buying gold, if you're buying silver from companies, it's really, really important to pay attention what happens to your personal data when you purchase and how you can check up on these things. I've purchased a gold coin, in fact not silver, a gold sovereign here from a company which has a reputation for quite a vigorous marketing strategy, let's call it. I'm not going to name and shame the company because by far and away they are not the only company that does this, and I don't think it's fair to single any one particular company out. I'm sure a lot of you can work it out anyway based on this sovereign being in this style of capsule. If you really are concerned about it though, please feel free to drop me an email and I'm more than happy to confirm in private which company it was. I've printed out their marketing policy from their website as well because it makes for very interesting and concerning reading as well at the same time. So we have an awful lot to get through here today. Let's start from the beginning. So a lot of the time when you just purchase something online, like I've done so many times before from different companies, not even bullion, just whatever it is you're buying. So many times you just ignore the T's and C's, you just click the yes buttons and you click the little boxes and you think, right, that's it, done. And you get your goods through the post and you think, that's great, that's it. Now, I've done that countless times and you get so many spam emails and you get spam bits in the post. And there's a reason for that, and that's because of data protection. And it's something that a lot of people might overlook. And I think it's even more important to think about when purchasing this stuff, purchasing the yellow shiny stuff, because as we'll see in a moment when we look at the T's and C's for this company, the marketing policy for this company, your data really does go far and wide, and it's not necessarily something that you really want to have going far and wide, especially if you're buying gold and silver. So yeah, let's start at the beginning though. This is the 2019 sovereign and I purchased this from this company. It was a deal which was highlighted over on the silver forum, and there were a lot of people on the silver forum who were rightly quite wary about something like this. And it's at the time of purchase it was something like 220, I think it's £224 I paid for this one. And at the time that was under the value of spot price, which is obviously a fantastic deal. Anytime you can get gold for less than spot is great, especially when it's a brand new 2019 sovereign. Brilliant. But when you buy these things, you know that the company is selling it at that price for a reason. And the reason that this company was selling those at that price is so that they can try and sell you something more profitable for them in the future, in the form of, in this particular company, special release coins, special anniversary coins, proof coins, and all of the like. So I don't really want all of that gumph. I'm not really interested in a lot of that. If I see that there's a coin out there, an anniversary special edition, limited edition proof or something that I want to purchase, I'll probably go and find it, and I'll find it from where I want to buy it and I'll buy it. I don't need to be reminded by whatever company it is that you buy these things from. But I'm a lot more savvy now than I used to be about sort of data protection when it comes to your personal data and purchasing things. I was very curious to see what the company's marketing policy was. So I've had a look and I've had a printout of it. Now, as I said, I'm not naming the company in Word. I don't think that's really fair, because there are lots of other companies out there that do exactly the same thing, and I've redacted some of the particular elements in this policy which relate to certain companies, because ultimately none of these companies are on the face of it breaking any laws or breaking any data protection regulations, but what they are doing is basically harvesting your data to use for their own benefit, and in the future that could really do you some damage, especially if you have a large quantity of gold and silver. So the big thing that I have issues with is, of course, the passing of data to third parties. Now, I'm not too worried if a company, and there are lots of bullion dealers out there that will do similar thing. They'll harvest your data and then they'll contact you if they've got products which they think that you'll like, which is fine. And if you want to get that kind of information from that company, I'm more than happy to do that. And again, everybody's got the right to sign up or sign off. And I've taken off the paragraphs where all of that information is. So this company does have all of that information with their data protection officer and all of that. So they are abiding by all of the regulations. I've just simply taken the bits which are interesting here. So you can, of course, come off those lists. But what I don't like is that this is the very first paragraph of their marketing gumph. And that is that they would like to be able to pass your information to carefully selected third parties that offer products or services that they have identified as likely to be of interest to you. I don't like that. I don't like having my data handed over to a third party. Now, you think, well, okay, if you don't want that to happen, it doesn't happen. That's fine. Well, when you're checking out through this company and through lots of other different companies' websites, you'll probably have seen those little checkboxes like saying, I accept the terms and conditions of this order. I have, or you want to opt out of various marketing, you want to opt in of various marketing, however it might be. And I've done that with this particular company. And very interestingly, I got a follow-up phone call from them a couple of days after I received the coin to ask whether I'd meant to do that and whether I'd like to be included in the marketing lists. And I said, no, thank you, I'm fine. So, in theory, your data really shouldn't be shared to third parties if you've if you've clicked all the right buttons on the checkout. But if you've not done it, the thing that really concerns me is, you might have not done it and you want to rectify that by getting in touch with the company and changing that, but you don't know when the data is gone. Has the data gone immediately? And once the data's gone, of course, it's gone. You would then have to contact that third party. And that's where this second paragraph comes into it, because it tells you who they work with and what they basically do. And they work on behalf of various different UK retailers that are in so many different industries. You've got clothing and collectibles, food and wine, gardening, gadgets, entertainment, health and beauty, household goods, home interiors. That's, you look up here and you say, we'd like to pass your data to carefully selected third parties that offer products or services that we have identified that would be of interest to you. How on earth can you determine that somebody who's bought a 2019 gold sovereign is going to be interested in health and beauty products or in home interiors or whatever it might be, gadgets, entertainment, collectibles? Okay, maybe. You could maybe argue that one. It's very, very worrying. And to me, that sounds like this company passes the data to this company, and then this company passes the data to all of these other companies to say, hey, look, this person likes this. Why don't you get in touch with them? And you don't necessarily know exactly what is going to happen. And, it says from this information, retailers can tailor their communications, sending people suitable offers that should be of interest to them. Oh, okay, well, again, it's about where does the buck stop? It's like this to carefully selected third parties. But has each third party of the third party been vetted by this original company? You just don't know. And there's another little thing here. They may transfer the data outside of the EEA. So, of course, we've got a lot of protections in the European Union at the moment with regards to data protection and the EU Commission. You can see here, the transfer will take place in presence and of appropriate safeguards. Yes, it takes presence in appropriate safeguards, but what happens when the data has been harvested by the company outside the EEA is anybody's guess, and it's not going to be protected at that point. And it's really, really concerning. And then there's another little bit here about their own personal mailing house, which is to send out their own personal stuff as well. But the majority of their marketing policy is all about third parties, which is really very, very bad. Another thing which I don't like is, due to the nature of our business, we promote new products for anniversaries that may be only celebrated every decade. As a result, we will retain personal data for up to 10 years after your most recent purchase. That I have a big problem with, and that doesn't necessarily, because you've opted out for marketing communications, doesn't mean you've opted out for them holding on to your records. You have to make a specific request after you've placed an order for them to delete your personal information. And even then, they are bound by law to keep a certain amount of personal information as regards their accounting practices, taxation, all of these VAT records and everything like that. But to keep it specifically because they want to promote things to you for up to 10 years after your recent purchase, simply because some of the products they have will be out in 10 years' time, is, in my opinion, too far. That's not good. I don't like that at all. And then the last little paragraph here, all on profiling. And again, this isn't new, I suppose. Advertising, marketing has always been profiled to certain people, whether it's on, whether it was back in the 70s and 80s and it was daytime TV adverts being targeted to stay-at-home mums or unemployed people or people who'd had an accident at work and were looking for a no fee, no win, or no win, no fee claim thing. You know, it's always been there, and I understand that. But again, it's like in this modern world, it's that invasion of kind of personal space and personal identity, which is very, very concerning, and it's not something that I particularly like. Now, for us here at Backyard Bullion, we do have, I think, a pretty robust attitude to marketing. There is under no circumstance where I would pass data to a third party unless explicitly understood by the customer as to exactly why. And there's only a couple of situations I can ever imagine that being the case, and that relates to things like the group orders. But it's already kind of come from the European Mint to us, so I can't really ever see us doing anything like that. To be honest, it's really interesting. So if you are a Backyard Bullion customer and you're concerned about your personal data, please feel free to get in touch with me. There's my email address down in the down in the description box, and you can ask about your personal data, how it's stored, how it's handled, and if you want it to be deleted, you can do. It's really not that big a deal. But you know, it's one of those things. I've got myself a really nice, cheap 2019 Sovereign. My personal data, to a certain degree, is at risk, I suppose, because I've placed an order with a company that has questionable ethics when it comes to marketing. You don't know at what point this data is handed over to third parties. In theory, I've clicked all those boxes which say don't send that data out to third parties. However, as has been shown many times in this last decade or more, with the amount of spam phone calls and emails you get about PPI or gosh knows what other sort of, you know, I want to say scams, because there's a lot of scams out there. I've personally never had PPI insurance yet. I apparently have had it, and they guarantee that I can get a certain amount of money out of a claim. You know, it's just ridiculous. So, you know, data is always leaked in some form or other. It's a very valuable commodity, and companies will potentially be acting outside of the Data Protection Act and data protection laws, and really there's nothing that you can do about it. And even if they get caught, that data is still gone. So whilst they might get, they might get told off, ultimately it could just be a bit of a slap on the wrist. You don't really hear much about it in the newspaper. You don't get a lot of these companies who get all of their data farmed out to other people, you know, being told off, being sent to prison. I'm sure there's a few examples of it, but it's something which happens a lot. And there was a really interesting comment from a chap on the Silver Forum who'd mentioned that he'd signed up for, or he'd bought something from a website, and he'd put a spelling mistake in his address. And he clicked the don't send to third parties and all of that marketing gumph not to have anything included, and he started receiving marketing with the spelling address on his address. So of course then you can identify that there's a leak that's happened there, which is really quite concerning. So it does happen. So I want to round out this video by saying that for those of you out there who've got sovereigns in similar capsules to this, it might be worth having a look at the marketing policy of the company that you bought it from to see what's happening with your data, and if you haven't taken any appropriate action, perhaps now might be the time. And to finish up as well, I just want to sort of bring this home by saying, you know, data protection is an incredibly important thing, and it's not just the responsibility of companies. It's the responsibility of companies as to how they handle it, but ultimately only one person can really protect your own personal data, and that is yourself. So when you are using websites to check out for various things, if something doesn't seem quite right, or if it's something that's not unusual, have a think about it. Also, I would very, very highly recommend that you start getting used to just double checking those boxes and making sure that the check mark is right, because sometimes it might be very strangely worded. It might be a double negative, and you think, oh, okay, I don't want to be included, or it's you don't not want to be included. So it can be a bit dodgy. I know that they're clamping down on that, but again, it's about regulation and whether or not somebody's been caught and actually told off for having the wrong wording in it. So just be very careful and be a savvy shopper out there. And if you are a savvy shopper already, then please feel free to share some of your tips and hints down in the comment section here. And also please feel free to share some of your stories on data protection, and if you've had any horror stories or issues, or any issues that you've had with getting your data deleted or basically mopped up from any mess that's happened. That would be really interesting to hear. Otherwise, if you enjoyed today's video, please do put a thumbs up on it and share it around on your social media. That would be very helpful for everything that we do here on our channel. And if you'd like to see future content from us, then please make sure you hit that subscribe button if you've not already done so. And if you have subscribed and you want to get a notification when we upload a video, hit that little alarm bell. Otherwise, that is all I have to say. Thank you one and all for watching. I hope you have a fantastic week ahead. And as always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.